Well, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Take 5. It is Monday, May 16th, 2011. We've got a long passage again today, so got to get right into it. We're in Matthew chapter 20, verse 17. And as Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside. And on the way he said to them, "See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and deliver him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified, and he will be raised on the third day." And then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came up to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked him for something. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Say that these two sons of mine are to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your kingdom." Jesus answered, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." And when the 10 heard it, they were indignant at the two brothers. But Jesus called them to him and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. It shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be your slave, even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Now that's a long passage, but I'm going to have to try to explain it here in 3 minutes. Jesus, on the way to Jerusalem, again, is telling them that he's going to be crucified, and it's going to be those religious, prideful leaders are the ones that are going to be the main instigates of it. And then the two sons of Zebedee, now that's James and John, their mother. They get their mother to bring them to him, having mommy do their work for him. And she asked Jesus, "Can these guys, my boys, can my boys sit at your right hand and your left hand when you come in your kingdom? When it's all, when you're all in your glory and you're ruling over everything, can these guys sit at your right and left?" And Jesus said, "Look, I just told you, I'm about to get crucified. Now, are your sons, are they willing to suffer? Are they willing to die?" When he says drink the cup, that's what he's talking about. He said, are they willing to pay the ultimate price? And these guys say, "Yes, Lord, we're willing to do that." And he said, "Okay, you're right, you are." And Jesus knew that about him. And history tells us that those guys did. James, we read about his death actually in Acts chapter 12, if it's the same James. But we know that these guys were willing to suffer and die for Jesus. But he says, "Look, I can't promise you that kind of thing. That's for my Father." So even on earth, what we learn here is that Jesus did not have the full power and full authority of the Godhead. Somehow he was limited. Now he was God, and he had authority to do miracles and all kinds of amazing things that the normal human doesn't have. And we've read many of those. But apparently there was some limitation, and he could not grant these positions. He said, "My Father can do that." So that's not even up for discussion. He said, though, you shouldn't even be thinking about that kind of stuff. He said, that's the stuff that the Gentiles, in other words, he's talking about the Romans that were in charge of everything back then. The Jews were in occupied territory, and I know I'm covering a lot right here, and you got to just go do all your research on this to figure this stuff out. But the Jews were in occupied territory. The Roman Empire ruled the world. He said, those guys, they operate under the system of authority. And it was very much a military type government. And everything was, there was this chief, then this one under him, and this one under him, and this one under them. Like the military. He says it's not supposed to be that way with you guys. You guys shouldn't be thinking about who's going to be on top. You should be thinking about who's going to be on bottom. Remember, what we've been seeing here lately is that Jesus likes to flip things around. He says you guys need to be thinking about how you can serve other people instead of how you can rule over other people. He said, even I didn't come to serve. I mean, to be served. He said, I'm the king. He didn't say that because he didn't talk that way. But he said, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. And the main lesson to learn here, guys, is we are here to serve. We're here to serve other people. And I know a lot of you are involved in service projects, and you get involved in doing things in your community and helping other people, and that's great. That's exactly what Jesus is saying here. You need to keep doing that kind of stuff. Don't stop doing it when you get older. Don't stop doing it when you get busy. If you can find a job that actually where you're participating in that kind of thing, that's great too. But always be looking for opportunities to serve. It's the greatest thing you can do is to be a servant. All right? Anyway, had to go a little bit over, but that was a long passage and I wanted to get through it. Love you guys. Come back tomorrow on the next edition of Take 5.